Good morning. Welcome to St. John the Baptist Church. I don't think I've seen you here before. Are you new to the village?
Just visiting, actually. I'm fascinated by our village churches and just came in for a look round, if that's alright.
By all means.
I just came across this fabulous tomb. Obviously someone very important. Who was she?
Rhoetia de Verdun. She founded Grace Dieu Priory in the 13th century. Perhaps you've seen the ruins. They're well worth a visit.
13th century? Wow. No, I'm afraid not. Are they near here?
Very. Less than 2 miles. You could easily walk.
Perhaps I will. But it's amazing to think how old this church is. You say this lady's been here since the 13th century?
No, she wasn't buried here until later. And in fact, she isn't buried here now. This tomb is quite empty.
Really? How strange. Why is it here then?
Well, that's quite a story.
It is the year 1538, with Henry VIII on the throne. Lord Thomas Cromwell, his right-hand man, has been ruthlessly closing down the religious houses of the land. It is only a matter of time before the threat will come to Grace Dieu Priory.
Ah, Sister Anne, please come in and sit down.
Is there news?
Yes, a messenger brought us a short while ago.
Is it what we thought?
I'm afraid so, and this time it seems inevitable that the end cannot be far away.
No, I can't believe it. Why would they do such a thing?
They say it will go better for us if we do not try to resist. We're advised to express a desire to give up our lives of idleness and superstition.
Idleness? How can they even think that of us? We work so hard in the service of our Lord, day and night in prayer and study. And then there are all the daily tasks involved in running the priory and keeping it in good order. The Commissioners noted that 2 years ago.
Ah, you don't need to tell me, sister. I'm well aware of it, but it seems Lord Cromwell and his commissioners are determined to find otherwise.
And superstition? What do they mean by that? It is clear we worship the true God and practice no other rites.
They are against the reverencing of holy relics. That's what they think of as superstition. And as you know, we have the girdle and part of the tunic of St. Francis here. They would have us give it up.
Give it up? But it's such a precious and sacred thing, one of our most prized possessions. Without it, how do we help the poor women and ease them in childbirth?
Again, sister, you don't need to tell me. Apart from the sacredness of the precious object, it's an important source of revenue for us. But I'm afraid since the king broke with Rome, all our old customs are seen as superstitions to be swept away.
Swept away? Along with us?
I'm afraid so.
But surely we could resist. Surely we could ask for a dispensation. We did it last time.
That was different. Times have changed. In the end, resistance will be impossible.
In the end, maybe, but does it have to be now? Others are still continuing, our brothers at Breedon and Ulverscroft. Why are we surrendering so easily?
Do not underestimate the process, sister. Nothing about this will be easy, but I have been advised that early surrender brings more generous rewards, and we must think to our long-term futures.
But surely we shouldn't be considering merely our own futures. What of all the people who depend on us for their living, all our hinds and other lay people, the poor who come to seek alms?
Our servants will receive monetary rewards according to their status. Hopefully they will find other work quickly enough.
But it won't be so easy for us, however. What work will we do? Will we be expected to take husbands?
No, as former nuns we will be forbidden to do so.
Former nuns. Former nuns. The very idea makes me turn cold.
We will receive capacities as long as we agree to give up the monastic life. Or perhaps a small pension. This has all been carefully negotiated and agreed. Worry not, God will protect us.
I don't know how you can take this all so calmly, Reverend Mother. I feel as if my very soul is being torn into pieces.
Sister, God will take care of your soul, of that you can be sure.
And our house? Who will take care of that and all the lovely precious things it contains?
Sister, you forget our vow of poverty. Earthly possessions are as nothing to us, and I've been told that when the commissioners arrive they will draw up an inventory and everything will be sold off. As for the building, I do not know what may happen to it.
Then surely we should sell off some of our things now. With the uncertain future we face, we should take every opportunity we can to provide for ourselves.
We must think of others, not of ourselves. That is our vocation.
I am thinking of others, the others that depend on us to survive, our servants, the poor.
We must entrust their well-being to God and to others. There is nothing more we can do now. And besides, Lord Cromwell has indicated that any attempt to sell off monastic assets before the surrender may be seen as an act of disloyalty to the Crown. And we know what that may lead to.
Well, if we may not save our earthly possessions, there is one thing far more important that we should try to save. Our beloved founder, Sister Orisha. Surely we cannot leave her behind.
How could we not leave her behind? What would we do?
Open her grave, take her remains with us, and reinter them somewhere where she'll be safe from violation.
Open her grave? No, never. Such an act could not even be contemplated, even
But
if...
think of the alternative, Reverend Mother. When we are gone, those men will stop at nothing to desecrate this house. They will probably open her grave, and others, and fling the remains into the four winds. We cannot allow it.
We would need special permission to do such a thing. It would be impossible.
We could at least try, or act in secret in the dead of night. No one would have to know about it. I'm sure our servants would be willing to help.
And keep it secret. Where would we take her? No, she must be left to lie in peace. Her grave is her final resting place, and it must remain so.
But Mother...
I have spoken, Sister Anne, and let that be the final word on the matter. Please leave me now. There is much to think and pray about before the final day arrives.
The Prioress handed over Grace Dieu Priory to the Crown on the 28th of October 1538, and all the nuns left. The priory was converted into a mansion and remained a private family home for the Beaumont family for many years. By the early 1700s, however, it had fallen into ruins. In 1833, the estate was given to Ambrose Phillips de Lisle by his father, and he immediately built himself a magnificent new mansion house with its own Roman Catholic chapel. In 1839, he was keen to show his new home and the priory to his friend, the Earl of Shrewsbury.
Well, the priory was founded around 1240 as a house of white nuns of St. Augustine. Agnes de Gresley was the first prioress, but the priory was founded and endowed by a lady called Rhoetia de Verdon, a wealthy landowner and widow who appears to have taken holy orders in her later life. She died a few years after founding the priory and was buried here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, it certainly is a most interesting sight. And I can see how some may find it a romantic ruin. I imagine it is much favoured by artists and poets.
Oh yes, indeed, but my husband is anxious to talk to you about a new plan of his.
Do tell me more.
As you know, all monastic houses were closed down by Henry VIII, and Grace Dieu suffered the same fate. It surrendered to Thomas Cromwell's commissioners in 1538. Shortly after that, the remains of Rhoetia de Verdon were removed from there and reinterred in the village of Belton in the church of St. John the Baptist.
Indeed, her tomb is there to this day. I believe the vicar is very proud to have it, and it is much admired by visitors.
More than admired, pregnant women still come to touch her girdle, albeit a stone on her effigy, in the hope of an easier childbirth. But let us hope the vicar is not too proud, because I have plans to remove her.
Really? Why is that?
Rhoetia's true final resting place is in her priory. We believe she will never rest in peace until her earthly remains are returned to Grace Dieu.
Her resting place at Belton is, I'm afraid, an unquiet grave.
What do you mean?
She has been seen on numerous occasions wandering the lanes nearby. People believe her spirit longs for her bones to be returned to Grace Dieu.
Gullible people, perhaps. Yet do you believe in ghosts?
I have nothing to say on that matter, but I do believe this is what Rhoetia will have wanted. Ghost or no ghost, I am certain. Our plan is to have her brought back and reinterred.
What? There in the ruins?
No, not in the ruins, but close by. That's why I've brought you back here.
I must say, Delisle, this is a most splendid chapel.
Indeed, your man Pugin has made some excellent improvements, and so I thought, where better to bring Our Lady Foundress, Rowena de Verdun?
What exactly do you have in mind?
Permission needs to be sought for the exhumation. The vicar, Reverend Eddowes, needs to agree to our plan. Then a plot will be prepared here.
A first-rate plan? Could I do anything to help?
Come with me to speak to Eddowes. With you by my side, he's bound to agree to our plan. If you want, we can go see him without delay.
Of course, my dear fellow, but why go to him? Surely it would be better for him to come here. Speak to him on your own ground and show him where you intend to inter the dear lady.
Great idea. I'll send my steward to him at once. So what do you think of our plan, Vicar? Will you agree to it?
Well, I don't know. I'll have to consult with others. There may be objections.
Come now, man! Surely you can see how this is the place the lady should be brought to rest. She was a Catholic lady after all. She can never be happy lying in an Anglican church.
But we have looked after her all these years, my lord, most carefully.
I'm sure you have, Vicar, and I'm sure we're all very grateful to you and your predecessors. But now we have the splendid Catholic chapel at Grace Dieu. The lady should only be brought to rest here. It is right and proper. I can speak to the bishop myself if you wish.
No, my lord, that won't be necessary. I'll agree to your request and I'll see to it that all the formalities are completed.
Excellent. Thank you, Vicar.
Good man. I knew you'd come to see it our way.
Just let us know when you're ready, and meanwhile we will get everything prepared.
Of course. Good day, sir, my lord.
Good morning to you, Vicar. I'm Mullen, Mr. Lyle's steward, come to oversee the proceedings, and this is my assistant, Skillington. Is everything ready? My men in the churchyard anxious to begin the exhumation.
I see. Well, I'm afraid there might be a slight delay.
Delay? I don't understand. Everything is in place.
Yes, just so, but you see...
Look here, Vicar. Perhaps we could come inside and get things sorted out.
I'd really rather you didn't. Not just now.
Come, man. This is preposterous. Everyone is waiting at Grace Dieu for the arrival of a coffin. Let me come in. Vicar, what's going on here?
I'm afraid the exhumation cannot go ahead. Not today.
Why ever not? And if not today, then when?
Actually, not any day.
Vicar?
Certain difficulties with the formalities, I'm afraid. It might not be quite legal.
Legal? Of course it's legal. You saw to it that all that was settled.
Well, it appears not. And in the light of this new development, I can't allow the exhumation to go ahead.
I must insist.
It is my final word. So if you kindly leave and take your party with you, I would be much obliged.
You haven't heard the last of this, Vicar. What do you make of that?
I don't know. I'm completely bemused.
The vicar's hiding something. There's another reason for wanting to keep the body here.
Well, what could it be?
Well, the tomb attracts visitors. You may even call them pilgrims. I can only suppose there's money in it for the church.
I suppose I'll have to lay things for a period of time. I'll have to let you open the tomb eventually.
That's the problem. Without his consent, the whole plan is finished. I dread to think what his lordship is going to say.
So did the vicar ever change his mind?
No, he didn't. But that's not the end of the story.
Ah, Mullins, what is it?
I'm sorry for disturbing you, sir, but I bring news, and it's, not very good news.
Well, let's hear it. Don't hold back.
It's Reverend Eddowes, sir. He passed away this morning.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, certainly. But when you said you had bad news, I was expecting worse. The vicar has been a thorn in my side ever since that episode with the exhumation. As God is my witness, I wish him no ill, and I am sorry that he is dead. But now I might be able to pursue my plan to lay poor Rowena in a more suitable place.
There's more, I'm afraid, sir. Towards the end, his conscience troubled him, and he called for pen and paper.
A deathbed confession? How intriguing. What had the old fox been up to that troubled his conscience so?
He wrote a letter to the church authorities. but before it was dispatched, his curate got a sight of it and...
Well?
He confessed to having exhumed the body.
But he was the one who opposed to the exhumation.
Apparently he said he opposed it to stop you from taking her body away from the church. He wanted her to stay, but he was afraid if he merely refused permission, you might go ahead anyway. So, he dug her up himself.
Good Lord, did he act alone? Surely he couldn't have done it by himself. And where did he put her? Where is she now?
That's the really bad news, sir. Nobody knows. The church warden who helped him was sworn to secrecy and told no one. He died last year too. She's believed to be somewhere in the church, but Reverend Eddowes refused to say where, although the curate begged him to.
Oh, that man. Even from beyond the graves, he continues to frustrate our plans. Poor Orisha is condemned to wander the lanes forever.
I thought you didn't believe in ghosts.
So the plan was never carried out, but how can you be sure the tomb is empty?
Oh yes, we know that for sure. This tomb is not in its original position in this church. A few years ago, we had it moved so that we could install our cafe. We had to open the tomb then, and it was indeed completely empty.
But you said the prioress never wanted her moved. Perhaps her wish prevailed, and Rhoetia was never moved here in the first place.
Well, it's an idea, but no. We are certain she was brought here. The nuns didn't do it. The Earl of Huntingdon, who lived at Ashby Castle, arranged it. The trouble is, we don't know where she is now, and I don't suppose she will ever be returned to the Priory now. Her remains will stay lost forever, I think.
Oh, I don't know. After all, it happened for Richard III.